And we're live. Welcome back to another episode of Near Mint Condition. Old reader, new readers. And today we're going to be talking about Hickvengers Part 2. So everything from Avengers 24 to 44, New Avengers 1333, pretty much the second omnibus, and Secret Wars. And with me, as always, are my lovely co-hosts, my fellow cosplayer and now fellow Omni bro or Omni lady, Omni sister, Maddie.
Hey guys.
How are you, Maddie?
I'm doing great. I finished everything just in time for the show. So.
Awesome. And my social media queen, my partner in crime, Amanda.
Hey guys, how's it going? I've already finished this, but I went back through and revisited it, so I'm excited.
And the guy that I'm trying to make hold the mask for the longest time before I introduce him, there he is. My buddy, my brother, the Omnidog himself, Jess Bragg.
Did you refer to Maddie as fellow cosplayer, implicating you as a cosplayer?
She bought me a Nightwing costume, and you don't know what I've done at night, okay, buddy?
I had no idea.
I can show you pictures. Anyway,
don't try and gloss over this. I think this is an interesting part of your personality that I wasn't aware existed.
I don't cosplay. I was just playing. I don't.
I'm trying to get him to.
Like, I wish I had the balls to do it, because it takes a lot of balls to cosplay, man. Like, some of the outfits that I've seen, and I think some people can pull it off. And I don't know. I don't think I've got that
confidence.
Not confidence. I'm trying to think of the word confidence. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Confidence. Thank you, Jess. We can talk about that a little bit later if there's any questions in the chat. But first, we got a long topic today. We got Hickvengers, and just in case, again, there will be spoilers for people that have not read this. So if you want to stop the video now and then come back and watch later, that would be awesome. If you don't give a shit, then you are more than welcome to join the chat. I will be keeping an eye on the chat, and I will moderate. But I will kick it off with Amanda. Give us a quick recap of what happened last time besides the lag. I am so sorry about that, guys. That was completely my fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault. I know people blame Jess, but he was not at fault.
Jess.
I'd like to ask your wife that question.
Yeah, Reptar shirt. That's pretty awesome. So no one can blame him. He is blameless.
Thank you.
So what's our recap? So this is the recap that we'll give. So basically, we talked about Avengers up until Infinity, Avengers, New Avengers, and our recap. Jess loved it. Maddie thought it was. She didn't really connect with the characters, and she didn't like it all that much. Omar thought it was okay, and I liked it just fine. But I was really more excited to get to this part because I like this part more of the series. So that was pretty much a recap. I think we had a varying scores between a 2.5 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, and a 5 out of 5. So that kind of gives you an idea of where everyone stood last week when we talked about the first half of this whole series. There you go. Is that good?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Maddie, is that where you were, Maddie?
Yeah, that's basically. Which I hate because I normally don't have a low. It wasn't too low. I didn't hate it. I don't hate. I haven't read anything I've hated.
Well, remember,
normally I'm like, oh, this is great, and I'm just like, it's a book.
You just didn't connect with it. I don't think is what you were saying.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, people have commented on the show before, you guys just happen to love everything. You got to give them something to read that they're not going to enjoy. So it's nice to hear you say, this was just okay. As far as a reread, the first part, I remember enjoying this a lot more as it was coming out weekly, and going back and rereading it. I think I still stand with my statement that I think he tried to make maybe a little too epic and just lost focus of the characters, which is what makes me care about books, right? Like, when I care, if I don't give a shit about what's happening in the Thor and Hyperion, then I don't care about how epic this, throwing worlds at each other is going to be. Yeah. Saying that, let's get to part 2.
Yeah.
Which kicks off with the aftermath of Infinity. So who wants to go first? Who would like to talk about it first?
Well,
the one thing that I know that we didn't say in the first part that I wish that we had said, but I think the lag was just killing it. I wish that I had focused on how much I love the artwork. The artwork that kicked off by Jerome Pena, and then Steve Epting on New Avengers, and then Jimmy Chung on Infinity, and Mike Deodato Jr. Now, Mike Deodato Jr. comes back for this omnibus, but he's also joined by Salvador La Roca and Kev Walker, I think. Yeah, Kev Walker. But yeah, I absolutely love the artists, the team of artists in the first round of Avengers. I thought it was phenomenal.
Wonderful.
I don't think there was an issue that was missed.
I feel like the art was more solid in the first part, honestly, than I felt in the second part. I mean, the art's still great throughout. I definitely think so. But I think there's a few times reading the second part where the art was a little weird to me. And I can't really pinpoint which parts. Maybe I just felt like Reed Richards looked weird.
Some parts he did. I agree. I don't know if it was like they might have had a different artist for that issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, I think some of it felt rushed too. Like I think Kev Walker is a solid artist, but when he's rushed, he can draw some ugly faces. Like nobody's business. I don't get it. And Lionel Francis Yu as well. He's another phenomenal artist that was in the first book that joined us again for this book. So we can talk about it. I'll give you a little refresher. The first part kicks off with the Avengers with a time traveler showing up in the past and giving Tony a message.
Yeah, that was
awesome. His Christmas gift. And Simone Bianchi kicks off the New Avengers run, which I think this is I guess I'll go ahead and say my thoughts on this part. I thought this was probably one of the most annoying New Avengers run. Up until this point, I had been enjoying New Avengers, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Illuminati. I think the Illuminati is a shitfest, but that's just my thought. The part that I didn't enjoy was it felt like for 5 issues I was just I was watching somebody watch somebody else's world get destroyed.
Voyeurism, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I get it, guys. There's a lot of shit that's going on in multiverses. I have read DC for years. I know what this is about. Get to the story. So I felt like I wish that was a little more condensed. I'm serious. It was like 5 issues of like watching them watch somebody, and it was enjoyable. You know, I'm always a sucker for future stories. Days of Future Past is one of my favorite X-Men stories of all time, but it doesn't need to be a 10-issue event, a 15-issue event. Now, what did you guys think about the beginning, the time travel story, and then the New Avengers part that I was talking about, of them watching other worlds?
Well, I liked them watching other worlds because I think it had a payoff later on, especially when they went to Earth 4000. I can't even think of the number, but
you can't remember? Oh, you
whatever. 4160, whatever. With the Great Society, it paid off because we had to see them watching other worlds because they were trying to figure out what everyone else was doing or what was happening in order for them to see if anyone was getting it right. And so I think I actually like the Illuminati. I think it's a really interesting concept, this secret society within this bigger organization. But I'm a sucker for those kind of stories. That's why I liked all of like the Da Vinci Code and stuff. So I'm a sucker for that stuff. So I really liked that just because I think it really helps shape where that part of the story went. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the Illuminati, honestly. Like, I liked them when we read about them in Planet Hulk, and I like them in this now. And I felt like because they were a smaller group in this, it was a lot easier to focus on them because they didn't really change. So if I see the Illuminati, I'm like, okay, I remember what they're dealing with. And sometimes if we were reading other parts, I'd be like, I don't know what's happening anymore. But like this group, I know what's happening with them. So I'm like, it's like a nice anchor point.
Yeah,
for me. But I really like the time travel stuff too. I mean, if we're talking about time travel, we're talking about when Captain America went to different times.
You're talking about Tony Stark's granddaughter.
Well, yeah, just Tony Stark's granddaughter. And then, I'm sorry, because the whole thing is about time travel.
Yeah, it is. The whole thing's time travel.
I'm sorry about that.
I thought that part was okay. Like, and I guess we'll talk about this more as we go through, but a lot of parts there's a lot of highs and lows for me reading this. There's parts that I really, really liked and enjoyed, and then they'd be thrown back into, I don't know what's happening anymore. And then we'd be like, okay, well, we're back here. But I did like the part where we're watching the other world with the really good superheroes. It seemed like they
like the Justice Society ripoff, or I'm sorry,
basically. I really liked them because I felt like they were really needed for the story to give you an example of what seemed to be truly good people and truly with great character, and kind of set you up to, like, even they fail. What are we gonna do? Like, and they're the epitome of what we consider like our heroes. And so, like,
what I wish they had done as the old reader is tie this into Hyperion's story, where he comes from the Squadron Supreme. The Squadron Supreme was a miniseries written in the 80s. That kind of like, I don't know, they wanted something similar to Watchmen, make it a realistic comic book about realistic superheroes. So Marvel got Mark Grunwald, and it's a wonderful story, but nowhere near the caliber of Watchmen. But I wish that Hickman, and maybe he wasn't allowed because I don't want to spoil what happens at the end of Squadron Supreme, but they so could have tied it into this, and it would have been so awesome to see those characters like Nighthawk and Dr. Spectrum and those guys show up instead of this other Justice League rip-off characters. That's what I would have liked to. As an old reader, I would have been like, he tied things up. That's so wonderful. I love when things like that happen, right? It's a nice shout out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for you guys, you would have been like, oh, these are cool new characters. Obviously, a Justice League ripoff. That's interesting. And then, for people that had read it for many years, were like, oh, cool. Mark Grunwald Squadron Supreme is back. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, because they built up Hyperion so much, and I think he was a pretty well-developed character in this series. It's still, like all the other characters in this so far, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, like, that aren't in the Illuminati, there's not nearly enough development. I feel like it's, like, almost there, and then kind of like, but Hyperion, I really feel like I connected with him reading this. Like, after reading about him, I was like, oh, I'd love to read more about this guy. He's really, really interesting. Yes. So even not being, I mean, I know who Nighthawk is, but I don't know who anybody else is. If we were exposed to that and there was, like, that connection, I think that would be really cool. Be nice to get more Hyperion-related stuff.
Yeah. Makes me want to read some Hyperion, that's for sure. If that is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assuming it is.
It's out there. There's this thing called an omnibus.
Yes.
The Squadron Supreme omnibus.
Now I have empty shelves to fill, so.
I'm sorry, did you just use my voice that I used to make fun of people on me?
You deserve it sometimes.
Somebody joins Omnibros Live and gets all big britches. All right. Nothing but love, Maddie. All right, dog. What do you got? What'd you think?
Well, I'm only a third of the way through the Hickvengers 2. So the first part is really all I'm going to be able to comment on. I actually liked all the different world watching because I found it interesting just to see how the different universes, how their different counterparts reacted and how they were woven into the story. And that's what shocked me so much about the Great Society or whatever they were called, that they were completely different and not just some different amalgamation of the typical Avengers, but they were 100% completely different. And I really enjoyed seeing that part where they were so unusual and so different, and not just, General America instead of Captain America. It was somebody completely different. And the thing that I loved, I do not have a problem with the Illuminati. I also, my first reading of the Illuminati was Planet Hulk also. I do have a problem with Namor as being part of the Illuminati because he doesn't do jack except for sit around and look smug and be a jerk. He doesn't really...
he hasn't read the rest of it,
yeah,
has he?
just wait.
Okay. Well,
I was going to say, every group needs a wild card.
Okay.
Namor is the wild card.
Okay. so far, then he doesn't do jack. But I did enjoy so far. I've enjoyed the fact that Stephen Strange is willing to go to the lengths he goes to do what he needs to do. Now, I just got to the part where he unleashes himself. I guess I'm about a third of the way through. I just finished the part where he unleashes whatever it is he's bargained for, and I'm gonna find out how that turns out. But yeah, I liked it. There's not as much to keep track of so far, like there was in Hickvengers 1, where it felt like there were 3 or 4 major arcs. This seems to flow a little bit better. I'm able to follow it a lot easier.
I would say that there's only 2 arcs in the second omnibus.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm able to follow.
Not including Secret Wars, but there are just 2 arcs in the second omnibus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have to tap out before you guys discuss Secret Wars because I'm not going to be in that until next week.
Uh-oh.
So I may not want to have that spoiled for me.
I'm gonna tell you,
it's worth not having it spoiled for you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's pretty good.
It is really good, Jess. And if you know nothing about what happens in it,
I don't.
I'll give you a heads up and let you know we're gonna get ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. We could. Do you want to stay for the what happens through this? Because
that's fine. Okay. I also wanted to say I liked the mind-controlled Hulk and the fact that he had a lobotomy and he was a sociopath.
Yeah. Oh man!
And
that was an interesting take on that.
Yeah, we've got to talk about those Avengers because
that was
really cool.
I got to point out
Avengers.
Yeah,
Avengers as they were.
This page right here, this whole conversation that was probably about 10 pages long, where Bruce Banner just goes up the hole to Tony Stark and he's like, I know about the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, you do? Hell yeah. Oh,
that is a great scene. Yes.
That was
just everything with Bruce Banner and other Bruce Banner was awesome.
Yeah.
Like to see Bruce Banner like that, and not because they were both very, very interesting and not what I had experienced of Bruce. So you have the sociopath Bruce, whose circumstances are really sad. Just really unfortunate, but make him very interesting. And then you have the other Bruce who's just as hardcore, who's like, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with this. Like, quit it. Like, Tony, I know. Like, can we just stop this already? Screw that other Bruce Banner. Let's just. And he's like, wait, you were fighting us? And he's like, yeah.
He's like, I was fighting you. I know what's up now.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's just something about it because I'm not used to Bruce being that way. I mean, even when we read Planet Hulk, I mean, he wasn't like, you have Hulk and Banner was just so much different. So to see him like that was so interesting. Yeah. And it goes to show you how much like what Tony and the Illuminati are doing it's no one really agrees with it. And it really just demonstrates how serious of a matter it is to everyone. I mean, obviously, and also to Captain America later on. But yeah, it's, if even Bruce Banner can get that upset about it, where he needs to start tranquilizing himself.
that was such an awesome scene.
It was a great sequence.
Like keeping control of himself. I'm like, oh man, he's about to snap.
Yeah.
And I like how they used the adaptoids to kind of fit into the story. Like, that was pretty interesting to kind of.
That was interesting.
Actually, and then when we get towards the end of the series, how everything is just tied in together. Because Hickman has always been like that. His stories are very deconstructed, but then when things come around, it's they come around to a certain point that he was heading you. It's just holy shit. Getting to the long haul through the long haul. Sometimes it's kind of painful.
Yeah. It definitely is.
But then you have to ask yourself, was the payoff worth it? And I guess we'll find out here in a little bit.
I had a quick question regarding the adaptoids and their creations of AIM from AIM Island. When we read Avengers No Surrender and reviewed it last night on Omnibros, AIM is now a good guy organization currently. Like, in this time, I mean, like, at the end of July 2018. They're a good guy organization now.
Something happens in this one.
Well, I don't
later
know
on.
because I don't know if they still are because everything kind of revamped after the end of Secret Wars, right? Like characters that were dead came back, and then now there's only one universe, whereas the Ultimate Universe is on one. I can't remember, but something does happen in this story where where Ian becomes not good, but they got bought out. Let's just say that they were under new management.
Because they're just a corporation, essentially. At the end of the day,
they got rid of all the bad guys and just wanted to.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like in No Surrender last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, if No Surrender is right, that takes place last year, early this year. So I guess it's still in canon. So did you get as far as this, Jess? Well, yeah, you had to have, where Cap starts remembering, like, hey, you bitches knocked me out when I would try to call you out. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that sets off a series of events that takes place like for the entire like half of the book. The rest of the book is time runs out. And that all kicks off because Captain America remembers things.
Ah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the rest of the book takes place 8 months later. And now Maddie asked a really good question. Like, so let's talk about this too. His little travels, right? I've always been a fan of future stories, like traveling. But again, I wish this was a little bit shorter and gotten to the point. I didn't need 2 or 3 characters dropping off every issue just to get to the year where 5 billion or the end of time wherever he went. So he
forever,
can
is that they said?
Yeah, so he can plant his eye bug on. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's cute. That was a cute little setup.
I thought that was cool as heck.
Okay, well, I'm glad.
That thing just jumped out of his eye.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that whole sequence.
Yeah,
me too. Those issues. Yeah.
I really liked all of that, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still not entirely sure how it connects to everything, and maybe I read it too quickly, which is how I felt the whole time I was reading the whole book. I was like, am I reading this too quickly? Am I just not understanding things?
Well,
don't feel like that, because there are a lot of questions that I think like, did that get resolved?
I have no idea.
Like,
there are a lot of things that happen in this book. I'm like, what happened?
And I swear to God, if people tell me again to go read Avengers World, then somebody should have told Marvel to fucking put Avengers World in these omnibuses, because they're $125 each.
Or you know what would have helped? If anyone had put any note in the book at all at any point. That like, hey,
editor notes.
Maddie's all about those editor notes.
This thing here wasn't in here the last issue because it's happens in a different story. We could just tell you, go read this if you're confused. Why is Captain America old? Maybe read this thing. Why is Thor unworthy? I don't know, read this thing. But no, let's just let Maddie feel like she's slowly going crazy and can't understand books anymore. But it's fine. I'm not mad. Anyway, I really did like the time travel sequence. That was really neat.
Well, and it did tie up to the times run out, because they were, in the beginning of that, they were chasing down the Illuminati. So after he came back, the Avengers knew what they had to do, right? So they started going after him. And I think somewhere in there, I don't remember if didn't someone mention to him that he can't stop Tony, or he shouldn't stop Tony, or something like that?
Yeah, there was something.
Well, there were several can'ts, right? Like there was the whole message from Valeria. You can't win. You're just gonna have to figure out a way how to lose.
How cool was that? How cool was that? I mean, if you haven't, so cool.
If you have not read Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four,
oh my gosh,
I strongly suggest reading that, because he makes those mixed kids are awesome. Both Valeria and Franklin.
I don't know why they never brought. I just think the Fantastic Four, like that's what to me made this second half. Just that whole.
I agree.
Yeah, the kids and Sue and Reed, that foursome just did it for me. I loved that whole thing.
Especially Val. I mean, that whole note. Where, the note that you were just talking about, Omar, where she says, you're not going to win, so you better figure out figure out how to not lose, basically. Yes. And I was like, that is the most badass thing possible. She's like, no, you guys are ruined. Like, you can't win. So you need to flip the script and figure out something else. And I mean, how awesome! She's so cool.
She was, and I mean, they did in a way. So there you go.
It's pretty interesting. The character's only been around since like 99, 2000.
Oh wow!
And she's already like, I think she's probably older than Franklin Richards. I swear to God, Franklin Richards is just the kid that can never grow old.
Maybe
he's like Webster. He stays the same age. So I thought I've always been a fan of this of Young Avengers. So this made me happy. Seeing Kang the Conqueror come back, and not just Kang, but Immortus and Kang and Iron Lad all together in the same scene. You know, like it's kind of like, and if you know, these three characters never really interact, or they're always trying to kill each other because it's the same guy, it's the same character, right? So I thought this part was pretty cool. I wish they had done this sooner, but
yeah. Wait, can you explain that part to me?
Yeah,
because I'm not that familiar with Kang.
Yeah, neither am I.
Oh, okay. Kang, this guy. Right, he was he started off as a Fantastic Four villain, right? He was he was the Pharaoh, a time traveling Pharaoh, and then he became this guy. And it was I can't remember who wrote it, but they were different characters at first, and then of course somebody came along and was like, no, it's been the same guy that travels through time. I think at one time they even tried to tie him into Nathaniel Richards, which is Mr. Fantastic's father, but that got retconned. So long story short, these guys are all the same character.
All three of them are the same character?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, they are.
That's really cool then.
Iron Lad is the guy that joins the Young Avengers. And you're like, why is Tony... I got really excited when Young Avengers came out because I thought it was the young Tony Stark from The Crossing, the one that they pulled from the different timeline after Tony Stark died. Spoilers, but nobody gives a shit about The Crossing. So I thought that was cool, but then he made it even better. Was like, no, he's not Tony Stark from the future. He is a young Kang the Conqueror before he becomes evil, and I thought that was awesome because he started off as Iron Lad, and then he became the Vision when the Vision died. Jesus Christ, this is why people don't read comic books. Because you asked me one question, and now I'm getting on to the other things. Anyway, I got excited. I'm glad to see these characters back. Kang the Conqueror is my favorite Avengers villain. I know most people probably think of him as a Fantastic Four villain, but he is my favorite Avengers villain. Can't wait for him to be in the MCU. That'd be awesome. And yeah,
I'm going to go back and reread that part then. Now that I have that knowledge that it's three versions of the same person.
Yeah, just from different points of his life.
Yeah.
So yeah, he comes back, and he's like, "Hey guys, we just went through a lot of shit, but Tony's the traitor, right?"
Yeah.
And seriously, that is what leads into Time Runs Out.
Yep.
Like for the rest of the book.
Yep.
Time runs out, and at points of Time Runs Out, I'm like, Wakanda's dead. What the hell's happening? Like, I'm thinking, okay, this has to be like, and I remember thinking this the first time I read it. This has to be like Days of Future Past, right? Everything is going to get fixed. Like, this has to be a possible future. And the more I'm reading, I'm like, okay, Cannonball. Nobody's going to hook up with Cannonball that fast, right? He's not going to have a kid. Like,
oh, buddy, he did.
And I'm like, wait, this is 8 months later. Does Jonathan Hickman know how long a woman has to carry a child?
Yeah, I was.
Maybe he didn't do research on that, but he did the shit ton of research on everything else. So yeah, then we have the Time Runs Out story, which is this huge, long story that takes place 8 months later. The new Avengers are scattered everywhere. The Avengers are kind of scattered. I think there are only 3 Avengers at the beginning, and Amadeus Cho being one of them. And there were some kick-ass moments in this, so I'm going to let you ladies talk because I've been talking a little bit. I've been talking for 30 minutes explaining who the fuck Kang the Conqueror was. So I'll let you all talk and tell me how you all felt about pretty much the second half. And Jess, you can chime in to wherever you stop reading. I can't recall.
Yeah, I stopped where Doctor Strange goes crazy on the Great Society, so I can't speak to the Time Runs Out storyline.
Yeah.
I'll have to listen.
What I liked about it is as we got into the Time Runs Out, a lot of little things here and there got resolved. Like one of the biggest things to me is when it was T'Challa and Black Bolt when they betrayed Namor. So, and threw him in the dying earth. That was one of my favorites.
I don't remember how that got. It was very cool. It was really cool. But then I didn't remember how it got resolved.
Well, Namor got saved, right?
Okay, is that how that
No,
happened? Because like I know something
we'll
happened.
talk.
Is that later? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there. But that part was awesome when Black
It was
Panther's like, every breath you take is
Yeah.
mercy from me. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, T'Challa, you're such a badass. Like you can
Great
tell
lines.
who Jonathan Hickman loves, right? Like you can tell.
Oh, clearly.
I think Spider-Man had one line the entire book, maybe.
Yeah.
He had a lot more.
I love.
Well,
And Wolverine is dead during this time too.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had more in
hinted
Secret
at that.
Wars, though. I mean, Spider-Man played an integral role there, so
Yeah, a little more.
a little bit more.
Sorry,
I
I didn't mean to interrupt. I just love that part where that,
At
No,
least
yeah,
was so
Hickman
badass.
addressed that because at one point they're like, okay, we said we were going to get bigger, right? So we need to
Yes.
make sure we're calling in. We got to fill this
Everyone.
Avengers team. But we not Wolverine and leave out Spider-Man. And I was like, okay, so now you've addressed it officially. Why
You don't care
don't
these
want them?
characters. Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's fair.
I was
remember-
okay with that. I was okay with that. Like
Yeah.
the way that he wrote them out, because the character's dead, and I think it was just the screen that it had their faces like.
Yeah, that was
deceased. I'm
it.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
how Avenger fans find out that Wolverine died. Probably better than the death of Wolverine because that story sucked. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I like the time runs out because of how they had to, go about figuring out what their solution was to this problem, which ended up being, the life rafts and everything like that.
Mhm.
And they realized they couldn't save it. And you had the Shi'ar Empire try and destroy them. And then you had Doctor Doom's storyline. And that's pretty much once time runs out started. And then we really got to see more of Reed and his crew and Doctor Doom. And since I guess I don't know that much about Fantastic Four, but at first I was really confused as to why his kids were staying at Doctor Doom's place.
Well, this is where Jess can chime in because
Oh,
he
yeah.
just read.
Yes, please, someone.
He has done
your
a
buddy that thought he was the enemy.
readathon.
Yeah, Valeria calls him like Uncle Doom and has a relationship with him and everything. And he's taken a liking to her and is he's kind of the go-between between the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom for some reason. As the 3-year-old genius that she is, yeah, she takes a liking to and gains the trust of Doctor Doom. That's in Hickman's Fantastic Four.
And that was all kind of set up by Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo's run too, where that whole armor flesh thing where he takes her and he makes her like he wants to take her and make her his protege. That's a phenomenal Fantastic Four run too, is Wade's and Ringo's run, which is getting an omnibus soon. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Just wanted to chime in and say that. I knew that Jess had just had a readathon of Hickman, so I figured
gotcha. Yeah, that's one I definitely think I want to read, and perhaps even before, because I knew the next Fantastic Four comes out in this fall, maybe? Is that when the new 2018 run comes out?
Yeah, Dan Slott and one of my favorite artists, Sarah Pichelli. Yeah, she is an amazing artist, like completely amazing.
Her name sounds familiar. Where have I've heard it before?
She drew Ultimate Spider-Man. She drew a lot of the Miles Morales stuff.
That's why.
She first came in with an anime kind of art style, but her stuff is, I'm serious, it's top notch. It is gorgeous. It's some of my favorite comic book pages I've seen. Yeah. I'll let you flip through some of the stuff here, and I'll show you some of her stuff. But she is a damn good artist. I'm really excited about that run because I'm a fan of Dan Slott. I like what he did with Silver Surfer, and about 75% of the things he did with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the setup then. So like he starts getting rid of his own characters, right? Jess, is it okay if we talk about spoilers here? Or you want to sign off, buddy, because you haven't read this? No, I'm not going to talk about Secret Wars. I'm talking about just Avengers.
I'll still listen to this. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you sure? Because some characters get off.
Yeah, they get off.
Not get off.
They make some hard decisions.
Oh,
People sacrifice themselves. The hard decisions are made.
I mean, but if you've been paying
last
attention
stands
to
are
Avengers,
taken.
You're like, hey, where's all these characters?
Last stands are taken.
If you've been paying attention to comic books, like, hey, where's all these characters that were introduced during Jonathan Hickman's run? I mean, you're a pretty smart guy, right?
Well, yeah, but I don't want anything spoiled for me. So why don't I?
You can mute us.
I can mute it, and then you just wave to me when you're done talking about it.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. You can keep reading while we talk.
He's like, I'm gonna read.
Okay. So I think this is where it really gets interesting. This is where it starts picking up, is when Namor plays the role of like this double agent, double crossing. Like, okay, well, fuck the Illuminati, because it sets off with him destroying the world, right? Like one of the worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because they created this machine. Tony created it, and he's like, I'm not pushing the button. And then they're going around, Black Panther's having a conversation with his dead father and his dead forefathers, and they're like, if you don't push that button, we're going to disown your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I can't do it. So then Namor says, fuck it, I'll do it. And he pushes it, destroys the world, which I always had a hard time with. Like, why is everybody mad at him? They made this machine.
Yeah, that really bothered me, because I was like, we've already done it before.
Right. And they knew somebody had to do it. So why get all pissy at him?
I don't know. Even Strange was upset. And I was like, did you just see what you did?
I don't know.
And that kind of begins the scattering of the characters. That's Strange does his own thing that ties everything up to the beginning of these books.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody. It's really cool. So we'll talk a little bit about it. But yeah, you see Jonathan Hickman just said, "Oh yeah, I just introduced those characters, but I think I'm gonna go start killing some off to show you how epic this story is." So you have like Ex Nihilo, Abyss with Night Mask, Starbrand. All these characters just start getting killed left and right.
I love Starbrand's dying words to the Beyonders. He's like, I didn't even get to
sad.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I reread it when you rereading it, I think it was more effective when I reread it. But I was like, man, that really gets to me. Or it's because I was still sad because I've watched Infinity War twice today. I don't know which it is. But either way, it really got to me. That and then Hyperion and Thor's Last Stand.
Yes.
Beyonders. That whole part. Yeah. I enjoyed
it. That's awesome though. That's the way everybody wants to go, right? Mm-hmm. Like with your friend right beside you, like the way that it's written, it's very bromantic, right? Like
very bromantic.
Band of brothers, we do this together, we die together. That's great. That's awesome. I love that too.
Well, it's a stark contrast from how Tony and Cap ended theirs lives, huh?
Yes. So then I love some of the stuff in here, though. Like the 8 months later, the revelation that the secret SHIELD agent is Susan Storm.
Yes,
Susan
I thought that
Richards.
was great.
That was awesome. And she's hunting her husband.
Yes.
So Captain America has, he's SHIELD now because he's an old man. And then you have Falcon, who is the new Captain America, lead a team to go and capture the Illuminati. So you get the Illuminati stuff in the new Avengers issues, and then the SHIELD stuff in the Avengers issues.
Yeah.
But the best part about everything is that Roberto da Costa, my boy Sunspot, is doing his own thing. He's like, I still believe in heroes. I still believe in Avengers. So I'm just going to buy out the AIM Corporation and make them good.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting how he went about that. And he was like, we'll start doing things our way. And then in the meantime, this whole time, they put Mr. Fantastic, I guess, puts Valeria in charge of building the raft that will save. I thought that was awesome. Like, who does he trust more than anybody, or is his family? And of course,
his family.
It's all revealed
smart.
That Susan was also working for Mr. Fantastic because she will never betray him.
Of course.
And I can't believe Captain America, even for a minute, thought, what? You didn't betray your husband? Yeah. Come on, Cap. You're smarter than that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool revelation. And then so Namor saying, fuck the Illuminati. I'm going to make my own Cabal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Forms the Cabal. These, like Thanos, that's awesome. And then the Terrax from another world.
Yeah.
Proxima Midnight, Corvus Slave, and Black Swan.
Of course.
Maximus is always trying to sneak in there in his own sneaky way.
Of course.
So I thought that was really cool that was formed. That's what really picked up the book for me. I'm like, okay, this is so much more interesting than everything that was. I mean, I understand the setup. Maybe it was just, like I said, it's just too epic for the sake of being epic when things like this could have been done in shorter spans.
Yes.
I do agree with that. I feel like there's a lot that could have been condensed, and the story would just be as powerful, if not more powerful.
Yeah.
But I mean,
is it that they have so many runs or so many issues they have to do? I mean, why would they want to draw the story out, or is it just how that is?
No, I think it's really they gave him free range.
Oh,
you
okay.
can tell the way he writes.
No one told him to chill out.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't there anyone at Marvel headquarters like, okay,
Hickman,
let's
love your ideas. I love where you're going with this. There's maybe a little better way to do it.
I think he could have used, I don't know, in my opinion, but some people love this stuff. I think he could have been a lot shorter, and I think he could have used a good editor that could have been like, hey, instead of 25 issues of Avengers 8 months later, why don't we cut that down to maybe 10? And then because he knows he's an architect in the way that he writes his scripts. He knows what he wants. He knows the end game of all this story, so he knows how to set up everything, and he is a genius at that. That's the way that East of West is written. That's the way Fantastic Four is written. And his run in Secret Warriors is written like that. And I strongly suggest Fantastic Four if you all enjoy the Doctor Doom part, especially when we start talking about Secret Wars. That is one of my favorite reads. I probably enjoyed that more than I did his Avengers stuff. But anyway, so then the Cabal are made to go and destroy this planet, the Ultimate Universe.
Yes.
And I thought that was great that, Namor's like, no, I'm a double agent. I still like you guys. I'm a dick, but I'm still here. And then, of course, everybody's like, wait a minute, where's Black Panther? And then this fucking shot right here of Black Panther saying, I'm putting the blade where it belongs, you bitch.
Yes.
That's for Wakanda.
For Wakanda forever.
And, you get the story told through his Black Panther's eyes that he's like, no, I want him alive. It's going to take him a second to recover. I want him alive to know that I betrayed him and I'm blowing up the planet with him on it. And, of course, that doesn't pan out too well later on as we find out that the Cabal survived because of the Ultimate Reed Richards character, which I really like. Really cool. I really like this character.
Yes.
It makes
the
only thing I haven't read that Jonathan Hickman has done was his Ultimates run. And I was going to ask Jess when we wave at him here in a little while if he played a pivotal role in that, because he was I think he became a villain during Ultimate Doom or something, one of those storylines. And Brian Michael Bendis wrote that. Yeah, and then we have this is the part that you all were talking about, the Hyperion and Thor story, which is phenomenal. And everything ends. And the whole time, I don't know about you all, but I'm like, where the fuck is Captain Universe? They could so use her help right now.
Yeah, and then she shows up.
And then she shows up at this restaurant.
For like 5 seconds.
Like, yeah, no kidding. It's like 2 pages.
Like,
just to yell at him.
The universe is dying, and we're just gonna. It's just whatever.
Seriously.
Fine, Hickman. Just like introduce really cool characters and forget about it.
That's the part that kind of pissed me off. She's this almost omnipotent being, right? And she's taken his orders. Tony Stark. It was really sweet. He reunited her with her daughter, which I guess when we all read the first volume, the first part of this, we thought she was dead. She died in the car crash, but she's still alive.
Yeah.
So she comes back, snaps at them, and that's the last we see of her. So I don't know if somebody else is now Captain Universe or not, because they're helping the Shi'ars coming down to try to destroy the Earth, and it's a huge epic story. But it's so Avengers to me. I don't know how you two felt. Ended really anticlimactic. Like it didn't end. Like of course it continues into Secret Wars.
And maybe that was the
there's this fight between old Captain America and Iron Man. That they go toe to toe together, but it literally both New Avengers and Avengers ends with Secret Wars. Even they use the damn red skies from Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Yeah, well, because that whole first issue was basically what I would have imagined to be the end of both of those series. The first issue of Secret War, I thought that was like the end of each one. Does that make sense?
It was. So that's where Avengers ends. Avengers continues. So this does not end in this omnibus. If you did pick up the omnibus. Does not contain Secret Wars. If you there is a hardcover and trade paperback versions of this thing too. So this is Secret Wars. This is the 8 issue with an issue 0 crossover event. That was. I'll tell a story a little bit later when Jess joins because I know he'll appreciate this. Beautifully drawn by what is his name? Sabad. I love this guy. Used to do the covers for House of M, and he did the Izad Ribic. This guy, man, his art is so good. I love it. Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about the reintroduction of the Molecule Man, which was he played a big role in the original Secret Wars. So I thought that was kind of cool that he harkened back to that. And there were a lot of cool things in this. I absolutely love this. This is the kind of epicness that I wanted. 8 issues, all semi self-contained. Because really, I mean, you all haven't read Shield, you all haven't read Secret Warriors or Fantastic Four, but did you feel the need that you were missing something other than the Valeria thing started happening in Avengers? But did you all ever feel like, man, other than I would love to know more about those characters, did you all ever feel lost?
No,
not during it. Because I understood where all the characters were coming from. Now, and there are new characters introduced that weren't in the series, like Baron Sinister. Obviously, I didn't see him at all in Avengers or New Avengers, but I didn't think that was a necessity. I just assumed, he's probably a character from another, book.
He's an X-Men villain. He's the guy that clones.
He was quite hilarious. I enjoyed his.
The portrayal of his character in this is a lot different than his.
Oh,
character.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was genius to use Captain Britain, because Captain Britain, man, Jess would like to hear this too. But Captain Britain was written by Alan Moore, and Alan Moore is known, even though it happened before, he is known as the guy that created the term 616, because Captain Britain lives like in a multiverse. Like there's different Captain Britons for different dimensions. And our Captain Britain was the Earth 616, and Alan Moore is the guy that created that, or put a stamp on that as making our Earth 616. And now it's kind of become a thing where every writer uses it. I mean, how many times did you read Earth 616 in Avengers and then this? So that was all. So I'm glad that he brought Captain Britain in for that, and his brother Jamie Braddock. So yeah, Doom kind of destroys. He was
Rabam Alal. Is that how you?
Yeah, the entire time, like he was the main villain. So
That's
when it was
crazy.
This all goes back to how long he's been planning this. He had been planning this since Fantastic Four, I assume. It's just insane the amount of planning that he did. It was crazy. So to have Doom become a god after destroying, pretty much using the exact same plan that they have, except he figured out that they were linear creatures, that they could not travel back in time.
Yeah.
Whereas him and the Molecule Man could. And he took Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange, of course, refuses to become God. And Doctor Doom is like, well, fuck it. I'll be God. Sure. I'll remake this world in my image. So that's really cool. And I know you all are not familiar with this yet, but I'm sure you will be one day. The battle worlds are all based on like miniseries or crossovers.
Yeah. Now I've read one.
Which one did you read?
A-Force.
Okay, that's one of the ones I didn't read. How was A-Force?
Oh, I loved A-Force.
Did you?
I loved it, absolutely. And I wish we had gotten more, but some Marvel female-led comics don't always continue on, even if I want them to. So I feel like if I hadn't read that, maybe Battle World would be a little confusing. It's not really confusing. Like the concept is simple.
Yeah.
But like I was already aware that there were several Battle World series going on. So
I think
as far as those go, were those happening congruent with the Secret Wars release?
So pretty much at one point in each one of those little miniseries, somebody finds a wall. Like Wolverine finds a wall. Old Man Logan finds a wall in that universe. He's like, oh, it's a wall. I guess I'll climb it. And that's how he crosses over into our... and I'm not kidding. I wish I was kidding. That's how he kind of propels himself into our universe by climbing this wall, because that was written by Bendis. And then you have... then you had like Extinction Agenda, X-Men 92. So a lot of things... If you had been reading comic books for a long time, all these series kind of hit you in the nostalgia. Like, oh, cool, there's a battle world for X-Men, the cartoon series, like, just about. There's a battle world for Heroes in Love. Miss Marvel had a battle world little Secret Wars crossover. So it's really cool, but they are not at all necessary to read to enjoy Secret Wars. But it is interesting to see which series they decided to use. I think Planet Hulk was one, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
They did use Planet
They
Hulk.
had a Battle World miniseries.
So quick thing, something that this kind of reminds me of, and this is not exactly related, but it is. But this almost reminds me of what's it called? The DC
Crisis on
Convergence.
Infinite Earths?
No. Well, I mean, yes, but Convergence, the DC Convergence, where they had like before everything got reset, it was kind of like the big not really a farewell, but that's how it felt to me, like a farewell to all of these different characters and stories before they kind of restarted things again.
Yes.
Like, it kind of reminded me of that. I was like, hey, we can do some really fun stuff with some like characters right now that we normally couldn't because we have this like setup before everything gets reset. So here's some like fun stories that maybe you wouldn't see normally. Like, because A-Force is like, well, what if we had all of our female characters just like hanging out together? Here you go. And I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
I think some of them sold enough. Like Old Man Logan became its own series, right? Because Wolverine was dead. And I mean, who's gonna buy a Wolverine comic book when it features, Laura? She's a girl. Nobody's gonna buy that. We need a man Wolverine. And her, I mean, Old Man Logan was okay, I thought. I know people really love it, but I mean, Laura was amazing. Like, her all-new Wolverine was great. I wish that had kept going, because I was okay with my Wolverine being dead if he was replaced by a character like that I find really endearing and I care about. But anyway, back to this. So, Battle World, Coliseum, action, Dr. Doom's in charge, and out of nowhere, not out of nowhere because we knew better. We know what was coming.
Of course.
A couple of ships show up with our heroes from the 616 universe who remember everything, just like Doctor Strange. Because at first I'm like, does Doctor Strange remember? Oh shit, this motherfucker remembers. He's
he did.
A bitch.
Yeah.
So, these characters show up and they're like, hey man, what's going on? You left us in like a suspended state of animation.
Why?
A couple of months? Nope, 8 years. And they're like, what the fuck? And then of course, out of everybody that's more surprised is probably Reed, who's like, dude, that's my wife. Oh, those are my kids. I feel like that's a country song. Like, this man is living my life.
No, he stole my life.
Yeah.
So, and then we have Cyclops, who kept the Phoenix egg and becomes the Phoenix again, only to have his neck cracked by Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
Dr. Doom is just such a badass in this series. And then when Doctor Strange betrays him, Dr. Doom's like, bam, he just destroys Doctor Strange. Oh,
yeah, he just.
This is the kind of series that I love. Like, this is, it's almost self-contained, 8 issues. And I cared about the characters. I could relate to the 616 characters that showed up. The whole time I'm like, man, he is really playing Valeria because he knows how powerful she is. Because everybody knows, like, since Days of Future Past, that Franklin Richards would one day grow up to be the strongest mutant ever. I don't know if that's the case anymore since we have Valeria. She is totally smarter than her mom and dad, which I absolutely appreciate and love. Because that is that's what we all want from our children. To be a lot smarter than us. So and then you have the Cabal show up, and once again, all this. That's how Namor was able to survive. When you all were asking, how did he survive? He was joined up with the Cabal. He was part of the Ultimate Reed Richards group. That's how he ended up in this universe. And all is forgiven, and T'Challa's like, yeah, man, we're good. You good? I'm good. Okay, cool.
Which I love. I love their like weird friendship. Together. I really enjoy that. Like, that's one of my favorite things I've taken from this, because they both done shit to each other, like unspeakable things to each other's countries, but they're still like, what, I see the necessity of you, and I think they both see a little bit of each other in themselves. Like, I don't know, there's a lot more, they have a lot more alike, or a lot more in common than they both think, and I don't know, I hope this friendship continues past this, because I really like it. It's so weird.
I thought it was excellent that he also put in the Siege Perilous, or the Siege, cannot remember what he's called here, from Captain Britain. That is you go through this door and you come out another person. You will not be able to remember your past, thing that the X-Men used at one time. It's wonderful how all these things come together, like what he did with Johnny Storm, right? put him up and made him a son.
Yes.
Like, what he did with the Thing, and then when the Thing remembers everything, him and Galactus are having at it. While in an anime kind of style, you have Franklin Richards riding Galactus and
yes,
an anime robot. I'm like, oh my god, this is everything I wanted. This the payoff was, to me, totally worth it.
It was
totally worth it. If you had been reading all this stuff, and I'm sure the payoff is a lot higher if I had reread Fantastic Four and Architects of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what the hell, the Secret Warriors book, and I guess his Ultimates. But man, for me, this was amazing. I mean, it felt less like a Avengers book, I will say, other than T'Challa. It was more like a Fantastic Four. And
I would agree. Yeah, the Avengers were all side characters. It was really about Reed Richards and his crew.
There literally was no Captain America or Iron Man in this series at all.
Well,
and those are the guys that kind of end in that book. That's why I felt that Avengers was almost anticlimactic. If you had read it and not read this, you're going to be like, well, what? Like, could it be continued in another series? Okay, I go read that series, but where the fuck is Captain America and Iron Man? You know, it just felt really strange.
I was honestly glad not to have them.
Right.
I was really.
You had enough.
I think I just got tired of all of this in Avengers, like in the books. And I think maybe they're fine other series, but I was like, I'm over this. The world's dying, the universe is dying, and I'm really tired of your Civil War bullshit. Like, I don't care. I get it. Like, you have morals. Yours are different morals. Like, whatever. Like, the world is dying. Can we just quit it now? Like, this whole fighting each other all the time is not getting us anywhere. Like, T'Challa and Namor can fight and almost murder each other, but then still like, okay, cool. We got that out of our system. Let's go,
save the world again. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I was glad not to have them. And I think Secret Wars did really well. Almost not entirely, but partly because of their absence. I was like, good. I want to watch you here. Reed Richards is fixing this. We're good.
Hugo Rios just reminded me of the scene in issue 1 with the Punisher. Where he's like, what am I going to do with all these bulls?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that's
so cool.
Because at first I'm like, I found it so hokey that, like, the Kingpin is going to send an email to his buddies to have a drink at a bar. I'm like, oh my god, dude, where is this going? That's so stupid.
It was awesome, though. I thought that was
Punisher
great.
shows up. Oh my god, hell yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, that was great.
I think overall, Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, if I include Secret Wars, for me, is a solid 4.5. It was a great read. The payoffs were fucking amazing. You just have to hang in there.
You did.
I will say a lot of times it got boring. That's why I did not get a perfect score. But Secret Wars by itself to me is 5. It's
I
a
agree.
solid read.
Yes.
Avengers 4.5. It was solid. The payoff was great. Anticlimactic, yeah. So maybe more like a 4 then. What about you, Maddie? What about you? Did this change your mind from a 2.5? What did you think?
Yeah, I'll give Secret Wars a 5 out of 5.
Yes.
I'm still it fluctuates. The book fluctuates between like a 2 and a 5. Like at different points. Like some part of the storylines I absolutely loved, and then it would go straight back to me being like. So I'll raise it to like a 3.54. I think that's fair.
All right, that's fair.
But Secret Wars, 5 out of 5.
All right, that's what I want to hear.
So I think maybe I should read Fantastic Four, Hickman's Fantastic Four. I think that'll change stuff for me.
Totally should. What about you, Amanda?
I think I agree with you in that overall the 4.5, but then I think I'd give the first half a 4.5, the second half a 5, so then you average that out. And then I definitely would give Secret Wars a 5, because I think the reason is the second half just had more of the what's it called? Had more of the Fantastic Four, and I think I just enjoyed them more.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Cool. So Jess, you missed all that. I'm so glad you weren't listening. So we just talked about. Can you hear me, Jess? Is your mic muted? Did you mute your mic?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back, buddy. We just got finished talking about the rest of Secret Wars and Avengers.
Yeah, I heard the high marks given to Secret Wars. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, Secret Wars is a great payoff, especially for you, since you've been reading everything leading up to that. You're gonna absolutely love it. You're gonna be like, "Oh man, that's from Shield. Oh, that's awesome. That's from That's the machine that Mr. Fantastic made in Fantastic Four, like the bridge.
Yeah.
That all came from that. The place where their fathers met. That's all in there too. It's really cool how it all ties together. My question to you though, before we get to the chat and see if there's any questions, was Ultimate Reed Richards, did he play a part in the Ultimates by Jonathan Hickman? Because I really liked his character. I know I stopped reading Ultimate Universe like after Ultimate crap. What was that called? Ultimatum. I was done. But I've always heard Jonathan Hickman's Ultimates was really good. And I really liked his take on Ultimate Reed Richards. And I know he was it like Ultimate Doom or something like that, where he went bad. But I'm curious if he used him in his Ultimates run.
I have to. Unfortunately, I read it like 3 weeks ago, and you know how bad my memory is. What I recall is that the Children of Tomorrow are in there more than Reed is in the Ultimates. Yeah. I don't remember Reed in there as much as I do recall that the Children of Tomorrow, they evolve into something different and play a big role in it. But I don't remember that Reed Richards was a big part of the Ultimates.
Hey, sorry, my computer just restarted on me, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I was like, "What the heck is happening?"
That happens. I thought you got bored with Jess's explanation of his Ultimates.
Oh man, I missed his Ultimate explanation. I'm still at the beginning of the whole Ultimate universe, at least Ultimate Spider-Man. So
you can read these separately. These are just regular size hardcovers that are Hickman Ultimates, and it's different. I mean, it is part of the Ultimate universe, but you don't have to read everything else to understand these books at all. Just understand that it's the Ultimate universe,
which is where some of these characters came from.
Right, and I read Ultimate Hawkeye also. Those were the three Ultimates. Oh, and Ultimate Thor is the other one that he wrote.
And these characters were like, I think the only character that was in Secret Wars was like Ultimate Iron Man and Ultimate Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, it's weird because the Ultimates had this huge, but then Ultimates had their own little ending, and wasn't it Ultimates the End or something like that? Ultimate the End. But I don't know if he wrote that or not. I can't remember. Maybe it was Bendis that wrote it, like a goodbye to the Ultimate Universe. I own the hardcover. I just haven't read it because I like the art. Okay, well, let's take it to the chat. If there's any questions or suggestions, actually, let's do this. Let's figure out our next reading assignment.
I agree.
Our next reading book. You guys want to do something independent? Take a break from superhero, especially after this huge superhero book. Okay, so let's get some suggestions. Jess, give us some suggestions, buddy. What's a short read?
A short independent read?
Yeah, what are some of your favorites that I have probably read, but these two ladies have not? After all, that is the premise of this.
Right. Have they read The Fade Out by Ed Brubaker?
Nope.
No, I haven't read any Brubaker.
Yeah.
Holy smoke. Have you read Fade Out, Omar?
Yeah. Oh, I love Fade Out.
How about
Fade Out is an excellent choice. I was thinking Fatale or Fade Out, honestly.
I have Fatale on my
That's
tablet.
also great.
I think Fatale is my favorite thing that he's done. Like, honestly, like his independent stuff.
That's
Fatale. Lazarus is good.
Yeah, but Lazarus isn't a short read though. I thought
it's
just read
ongoing.
Like one book.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is. Oh, I have a mad hard on for what's her name, Velvet. Oh, I love that woman.
Velvet's great too by Greg Rucka. That's awesome.
Yes.
I would suggest either Fade Out or Fatale be your next book.
Okay, well, let's take it to the chat and see what everybody thinks. Fatale or Fade Out? What do you guys think? Marco said Lazarus, which you're right. Isn't Lazarus like I have the 2 collections, but it's still an ongoing series, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still an ongoing series, whereas Fade Out and Fatale are complete, complete and done. But I also feel like Lazarus on top of Hickvengers is gonna make Maddie's brain explode.
Well, see, it might be okay. It might be a fine read. I like complicated stories with a lot going on. It's just Hickman. I don't know. I don't know what he did with this one.
Yeah, it's Lazarus is the most amazing world building that I've ever seen. I mean, he's even researched the posters on the wall and stuff in the background, and they all have a message and stuff. And I mean, Lazarus is one of the best books out there. So, but it is ongoing.
It is.
It's 2 hardcovers, and that's why I think Fade Out and Fatale are a little bit not lighter, but not as many plot point arcs to follow, and might be a little palate cleanser after something like this.
Man, it's hard because I forgot how much fun I had with Lazarus, like just going in there and getting lost in the research of like what is this? You're right, all the little things he has in the background. But it's not. I just looked it up. It's not finished. It's still an ongoing.
Yeah.
We have a few recommendations. Dave recommended Sex Castle, which I've heard about recently. Marco says Rucka, Lazarus.
Yeah. Lazarus.
Raymond says the
Raymond
towel because he's familiar with
because he read it. Yeah. Which makes sense because then he can participate in the chat. Yeah.
Fade Out is good enough that I gave it to my non-comic book reading sister for Christmas a couple of years ago, and she loved it.
It's got a strong. It is very Fade Out, unlike Fatale though, is very noirish, right?
Yeah.
If you like that kind of stuff, if you like crime, I mean that's the way he writes his books, though. Okay. But I mean, there's a difference between crime and then noir, though.
Yeah.
Like the way that it's written.
It deals with Hollywood. It deals with Hollywood back in the.
Actually, let's do it because I think Amanda will be pulled in because of the Hollywood back in. Is it the 30s or 40s?
No, it's in the late 40s, early 50s when the
that's right,
the blacklist was going on, and the because everybody was being accused of being a communist, and
oh, I love that stuff.
Well, and the cool thing is that what's his name, Phillips uses real actors as his base for like characters. So like a lot of like 50s Scarlets and like actors and actresses that were around. It's really cool. And I think what will draw Maddie in is that crime part. So yeah, I read Fade Out last year, so I can reread it again. Yeah, it's a good book. I like it. That's a good recommendation. So Fade Out.
Before we get too far into it, Hugo Rios had a question. And actually, I had the same question I wanted to ask you guys.
Okay.
What was it?
What's your question?
If real quick. He said, were there any Secret War tie-ins that were supplemental to the main story, or are they all just their own pockets of Battle World? And I was also curious about that because I saw a lot of like while reading it, there were advertisements for the other Secret Worlds books that were separate. Like I think maybe there was like a Peter Quill and Kitty Pryde, and I think there's some good Spider-Man ones. Maybe is there anything that was good, or do you know?
I read every single one of them because I'm an idiot. And
okay,
but I did not reread them. They are definitely not necessary. Okay. Like I'm an idiot though that if they re-release this as an omnibus, I will buy it because they will include the Battle Worlds, but it'll have to be like a two omnibus set.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by an idiot. I'll double dip for no reason, even though I hardly enjoyed any of that series. There were some good ones though, but none of them that you need to read. There were some fun ones that were nostalgic, like, oh my god, I remember when this was going on. I love the Extinction Agenda. I love Inferno. There were all these things that were going on in the X-Men that it reminded me of, and that's why I read them. And some were written really well, and others were just I like them because of nostalgia. But none of them are absolutely necessary to enjoy Secret Wars. They're not.
Oh, gotcha.
You won't see a side adventure of like you'll see Maestro and the Hulks, but it is you don't really need it because you get it. Okay, cool. He's an old Hulk from Peter David's and George Perez's Maestro Hulk storyline, but you really don't need the other stuff. It's just supplemental, I would think.
Okay.
So fade out it is then. Is everybody cool with that?
Yeah, and I told Maddie, Omar, because next weekend is my last. I'll be done with my last class, and I'll have my MBA. And I thought maybe then we could celebrate and do Infinite or Crisis on Infinite Earth and start doing that.
I need to read this. It's just been sitting on my shelf.
You want to do Infinite
I was
Crisis?
Like, once that's over, I have nothing else to do with my time except raise a kid, be a wife, all that jazz. So.
Congratulations on getting your MBA. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks. But
kids,
I thought that'd be a good way to celebrate that.
Kids race themselves. You got that. Like
kids, they do that.
Easy. Anybody can. I can do it. You can do it. So yeah, that's an ambitious read, Infinite Crisis, because I think we'll have to split it up. We'll do the countdown to Infinite Crisis and then the Infinite Crisis miniseries.
Yeah, let's do it in pieces.
Yes.
And then
just
we can
do
it like that. But we'll schedule that out. But for now, we'll do Fat Out. And then before we end, are there any questions from anybody in the chat that's still watching for? Usually
Raymond asked,
yes.
How much will it cost to read the Avengers and Secret War stories y'all discussed today?
Well, there are 2 Omnis. And I think
one's out of print.
one's out of print. Thanks, Marvel. Right before Omnibus Volume 2 came out, Volume 1 went out of print. These retail for $125 each, right? But in stock trades, you can get them at 50% off the first week that they're out, and 42% off the rest of the time, unless you have an Omnibus code.
Yeah.
Shameless plug for our other show. And then we have Secret Wars. This book was $50. This is what I'm talking about, Jess. Yesterday when I said that's a deal for 17 issues of Avengers No Surrender, when they charge $50, the same price for 8 issues plus a 0 issue.
Oh, so, that's what your rant was based on. Okay.
Yes, my rants are legit.
I actually have a folder on my desktop about your rants. I have them categorized, so I remember them all.
Oh, yeah. Good. I'm glad you're keeping tabs. I didn't know you were doing that. So this is $50, but Amazon and in-stock trades, and in-stock that's 42% off with free shipping over $50. And at Amazon, I'm not sure how much it is, but it's also available in trade paperback. And that's all you would need. There are hardcovers available as well. Those might be a little bit cheaper now to get since the omnibuses are out. There are also trade paperbacks.
Yeah, I go the trade paperback route.
As far as the cost, I don't know. I mean, some of these trade paperbacks are ridiculous. They have 4 issues in them, and they're $17.99.
Yeah, they are expensive.
That's why some of us, like me, like to wait for the omnibus because, like, I'll just get the whole story in one shot instead of paying $17 for 4 issues. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like those Marvel trades now are like really thin and expensive for what they are.
Oh, absolutely.
Compared to trying to bank on their name.
DC, yeah.
But that's usually because they know people like my dumbass will buy the stuff regardless of what the price is. Like they're slowly increasing the prices of the omnibuses from $100 to $125. As a matter of fact, unless it's like a classic omnibus, most of these new events are all $125.
Mm-hmm.
You never see any more $100. Like when Annihilation and all those books were first starting to come out, they were all $100, and now each of those events are like $125. And DC, DC has a few that are $150. Like that book that you just held up, Infinite Crisis, same thing. It's $150.
Yeah. I can imagine that would be pricey.
I can't say it's not worth it. I don't know.
Definitely worth it. I love that event. I can't wait to talk about it. Oh, it's gonna break my heart when Amanda's like, I don't fucking care about this. I don't know what's going on.
You don't know how it's flashing it.
It's gonna like flip flop. Yeah. It's gonna be Maddie. It's gonna be like, I love this.
I think I'll like it.
Amanda's like, I don't know. I can't relate to these characters. It's boring. I think it's epic. It's too epic.
Superman sometimes.
It can happen.
God, calm down.
Right, it can happen. So if nobody else has any questions, I am going. What?
We still have to do our shout out.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So
I'll let you do the shout out.
Yeah. So we had Mike Firth. We wanted to give him a shout out because he actually sent us a spreadsheet he created to keep track of
Oh my God,
everything
it
that
was
happened
amazing.
in Hickman's Avengers, New Avengers, and Infinity and Secret War series. So he created this awesome spreadsheet. He sent it to us so we could look it over. So thanks, Mike. We appreciate it. That was really awesome of you.
It really did help like make the episode flow better because I could talk about the storylines as they were happening. It was awesome. So thanks a lot for that. I sent it over to Jess just so he could remind himself what he just read yesterday.
Yes.
So when he's reading, he's like, "Oh my God, Black Panther's in this book? What's going on?" Love you, man. So yes, thank you, Amanda, for that. And
no
we'll be back. Are we coming back next week or the following week? When do you ladies want to do Fade Out?
No, I mean, we
Maybe
can
the
do
following
it.
week.
You want to do it on the August 14th or 7th?
Wait, which one do you want to do? 4th or 7th?
The 14th or the 7th are the Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 14th and the 7th.
It's not a long read, but it's up to you two. I always leave it up to you.
I'd like to do the 14th. Good.
All right, we'll do the 14th.
Okay. We'll do the 14th. It is I think it's like a 12-issue series, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay, perfect. That'll give us time to kind of,
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
I still have one more week full of classes.
Yeah, that will give you enough time.
Let's wait until you're done.
Yeah, I'll get
knocked out Crisis or Infinite Crisis rather.
As long as I get done with all that group work I have to do.
Bring your book.
I just at this point I just ignore them and just say just be over.
You're almost there.
Almost there.
And this is my newest reader, and this is what she's been reading, Jess.
Oh, Peanuts, nice.
She's rereading this.
Hi,
is
Lydia.
The second time she's going through this. Amanda said hello. So you want to wave? Okay. All right. Love you. We get to sleep in the living room, so she's excited. So on that note, I'm going to end the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You can catch us back here August 14th, Tuesday, August 14th at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or we will keep the Facebook or Instagram or Twitter posted. Amanda will, because she's amazing.
I'll keep it updated, guys.
You can catch Jess and I on Omnibros Live, usually every Monday and Thursday.
Too.
Hold on, I was getting there.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I was mentioned.
Nope, that's it. I'm done. On any episode. No, I'm just kidding. And you can also catch Maddie on, what is the name of your program on Omnibros Live Network?
Fangirls Assemble, and we'll be on every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Eastern. Awesome. So if you can't get enough of us here, you can check out that channel and watch us there. Thank you, Jess, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
We'll do it again whenever you're reading something that along the lines of where we're reading, And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. That would be great. And we will see you guys on August 14th at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for a Fade Out conversation.